Hey guys, I'm here today with the new 2018 Subaru BRZ TS. This is the first 2017 plus BRZ that I reviewed, as well as it being the new TS. So I'm pretty excited to get a chance to give you guys some first impressions on this car. Right off the bat, you can see nice big Brembo brakes, larger 18-inch wheels wrapped in Michelin Pilot 4S tires with 215/40 18 rubber on it. Got a big wing, got the STI body kit aero bits attached, and you have some TS badging. Stiffer suspension, larger wheels, grippier tires. That pretty much sums up the new TS. You've got some, black painted mirrors and little bits on the interior where you have cool red seat belts. But otherwise, pretty standard BRZ here. And a little bit more expensive, a little bit more exclusive, only 500 of these being produced. But I think it's kind of a special car, and it turns everything about the regular BRZ up a few notches. Let's show you guys the engine bay here. I think this is probably one of the last truly good-looking engine bays left. And in this white, this looks especially nice with the red intake manifold. New as of 2017. Proper stuff. Let's take this thing for a drive. So getting on the inside here, we've got some cool little STI bits. So by the way, if you don't know already, TS stands for Tuned by STI. So you've got an engine, STI engine start stop button, little red shifter, red bottom on the steering wheel, some other red bits throughout the interior. I wish the reds in all of these matched. We have about 5 different shades of red here in between the seatbelt, seats, steering wheel, and all these bits, but you kind of get the idea. And there's some red stitching here. The TS logo is another different red, but you get the idea that this is something a little bit more special, a little bit sportier. And the leather-wrapped steering wheel is nice too. It feels good in hand. And of course, this wheel is a little bit smaller after the BRZ FRS or BRZ 8.6 update. New infotainment and also a reverse camera, which works pretty well. It's always a very welcome addition. And the BRZ has some cool updates to the gauge cluster. You have a STI logo and the speedometer, and then in the TAC, you've got a slightly different design and the digital speedometer with your fuel gauge, and then you have 3 gauges on the right that tell you your coolant temperature, oil temperature, which is really nice for track work, and of course battery voltage. So how can I describe the new TS? This isn't the car that everyone was hoping for. Subaru isn't going to make the higher powered BRZ that everyone wants. They would really have to repackage a whole lot in the engine bay and with the whole car to make that happen. And maybe it'll happen in the next version of the BRZ, but with this generation and with this version, it's just not a reality that's going to come into fruition. So, as a result, Subaru gave us just a little bit more suspension, stiffness, and tuning, a little bit more grip from the tires, and they gave us a car that's just a little bit sharper overall. I'll let these guys get ahead a little bit so we can go for it on the entrance ramp, but I'd say the car definitely isn't as active and playful with these new Pilot Sport 4S tires on it. It definitely takes away a little bit of that polar moment of inertia and motion to the rear end. But it gives you a more planted and more grippy feel. I think if you were doing track or autocross, this car would be really, really well set up right out of the box. suspension's a little bit stiffer just from feel, but it's not punishing. It's definitely not as bad of a ride or as harsh of a ride as BRZs and 86s prior to 2017. And of course, Subaru's kind of gone through the entire car and just refined some bits here and there. So the engine sounds a little bit different. It feels a little bit different. It's a little bit smoother and not as harsh. It revs a little bit cleaner. And of course, the power feels pretty good now. It's definitely more torquey. So that area between 3,500 to 4,500 RPM, or 3 to 5 grand, when the car used to just kind of fall apart and fall down on its face, it's got some power there. There's some torque that you can use, and the power band feels quite a bit more linear, which is nice. This new infotainment is really nice, really quick, responsive. There isn't really a whole lot to do in here, and you have redundancy between buttons and on-screen selections. This automatic climate control is really easy to use, all buttons and knobs, and you have these cool switch panels down here. Ergonomically, I do kind of appreciate the new steering wheel controls. When you're sliding around and really hustling this car, they might get in the way a little bit, but I think overall, if you keep your thumbs out, as you should be generally, you'll be in good shape. So pretty rough road back there. The ride quality in this is actually quite good, and with the level of grip this thing has, with the new updates, it's a really pretty nice balance, and I would say it's pretty livable. So let's talk a little about this car around the corners. It's quite impressive. It's pretty neutral. You get a little bit of safe understeer right at the limit, but you can adjust it on and off throttle. You can really kind of play with this car's character and play with the amount of motion that it has. All those limits are just a little bit higher than they were previously. You can see there, we have much better passing power from the shorter final drive ratio and the updated engine. Noticing a little bit more tire and road noise from these Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's. There's just a little bit more intrusion over bumps and when you're rolling down the road. Definitely not, unbearable, but it is a little bit noisier than a standard BRZ, for example. This car has never really been known for its noise deadening anyway, so you kind of know what you're getting into. It's a sports car. It feels about the same and sounds about the same as most other sports cars on the market. You can actually pass people in 6th gear now, which is nice. This engine really does start to sing though at about 5,000 RPM. It kind of comes on cam and you get this really satisfying push. I just love the dynamics of this car. This is a car that's built for drivers. It really is. If you want a bunch of power, go out and get a Mustang, get a Camaro, get a Challenger. If you want a precision tool that you can heel toe downshift and just kind of finesse around a racetrack, this is your car. This or a Miata. Out of the box, this is probably a little bit more of a refined tool, a little bit more of a think of it as a mature sports car. There's a lot more room in this BRZ, and as a result, it's a lot more usable. Miata is probably a little bit more fun to drive, a little bit more capable, probably quicker around the track as far as lap times go. But I think they're probably pretty close, and it depends what you're going to be using this car for. With my BRZ, I have a 2014 I pretty much use that car every day and I can daily drive it. Whereas if I had an ND Miata, I could do about 90% of my driving with it. I still would need something to haul stuff, whereas this BRZ, you can throw a mountain bike in the back, you can kind of do whatever you want with it. You can see there, just a little bit of a wiggle from their rear end. You can still get this car to move around a little bit, which is great. It's just so well balanced. Subaru and STI really did some magic with the suspension after the refresh. It's so neutral, so compliant compared to the old suspension. I feel like they've actually just fitted this car with sophisticated dampers now, which is a really big plus. The shifter feels great. All of your inputs are just bang on. And that's why I love this car so much. I think, to get 95 or 97% of this experience, you'd be just fine in a standard BRZ. Get the performance package, get the Brembos if you're going to be doing a little bit of tracking, but honestly, they're all so much fun and so capable these days at just satisfying your need as a driver that you really can't go wrong with any of them. But this TS just turns up the volume just a little bit more. I think it sacrifices a little bit of the fun factor just because there's more grip. I've always been an advocate that the stock tires on the BRZ and the 8.6 have been perfect for the car's character and for its chassis. However, if you're doing track stuff and you want to throw down some quicker lap times, you're going to want to put some grippier tires on the car. And that's what the TS does right out of the box. So, this isn't a huge production vehicle. You can buy all the parts on this car and put them on your BRZ. I'm a big fan of the suspension. The brakes are really, really good. With some upgraded pads and fluid, they should last all day, no problem. And this is just a really nicely set up package for a higher grip tire. And it could use more power. The thing is when you add more grip, it throws off the balance a little bit. This is just kind of right at that edge where I feel like it could use more power, whereas with the stock BRZ, you can still get it sideways, you can still get it loose a little bit, and the power level feels pretty good. However, this is a really good place to start from an aftermarket perspective. So, you throw a couple mods at this, you can do a header and a tune, really get a lot more power out of these cars that way. And you'd be in, honestly, really pretty good shape and still have that naturally aspirated responsiveness and feel and reliability that's really pretty valuable in these cars. I have no idea where I'm going, but I'm just going to park here for a sec and show you guys around the TS one more time. So that sums it up for me. These are kind of my first thoughts on this car. Couple complaints, not as crazy about the new rev counter. I think it's a little bit harder to see. It's not bad. The speedometer seems to be a little bit smaller, but really a pretty minor gripe. I would like all of these interior pieces to match. That would be just a little bit nicer, but that's okay. At that point, I'm nitpicking with what is otherwise a pretty fantastic sports car. I think you're definitely going to be giving up a little bit of practicality and usability with the wing and the lower aerodynamic bits. But they look cool, and a lot of people lower their cars anyway and make them scrape over everything anyway, so that's part of the game. The BRZ, I think, though, definitely is the better looking of the twins. Between this and the 8.6, I definitely have the Subaru. We have a BRZ logo on the headlight now, too. That's pretty cool. Alright guys, new TS. We'll do a night drive on this car too, and throw a Winding Road POV test drive at you on the Winding Road channel. Be sure to go check that out, and that's up as well. For now though, thanks for watching. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. I'm also going to be doing a video with my car comparing mine to the TS and just kind of see how we feel between the two. But hopefully you enjoyed this. We'll see you guys in another video later. Take it easy.